Welcome to Food Friends, a podcast inspiring home cooks to try new dishes in the kitchen by sharing trusted recipes, tips, and friendship. Hi, I'm Sonia.
And I'm Carrie. We met in Los Angeles over 15 years ago as personal chefs and haven't stopped talking about food since. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for being our food friend.
If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with friends. We love hearing from you, so follow us on Instagram or drop us a line at foodfriendspodcast.com.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you and your food friends. Happy cooking and eating.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Sonia.
Carrie, it's the time of year where we're in gift-giving mode. I love thinking about food gifts, though, not just at this time of the year, but for the whole year, because I think you and I both tend to gravitate to kitchen items when we're thinking of something we want to offer a friend or a loved one.
It's nice to think about something that we like to use or that we find useful in our kitchen, or a food that we want to share with someone and help them discover.
And I think a lot of gift-giving guides and food gift guides often focus on what's newest and most exciting or most gadgety, and not to dismiss any of those, because there's so many cool things out there being created. But I think you and I are really thinking about what have we actually given to people, including each other, and also like a range of budget items, because some people want bigger ticket items, some people want something that's more like stocking stuffer size. There's such a range of things you can really give that are wonderful.
Absolutely. And I think even in this gift guide, there are going to be items like hostess gifts. And so what's something small but really cool and memorable that you can offer a friend?
That's exactly right. So Carrie, starting off thinking about things we use in our kitchen and for serving.
Well, Sonia, the first thing that I'm thinking about giving is an immersion blender. And that is because I received an immersion blender from you for my birthday. I really want to thank you because I did own an immersion blender many years ago and I broke it. I was like, oh, I don't really need one. And now that I have it again, it's just such a pleasure to not have to take all the soup out of your pot, put it into your blender. A lot of times I want a soup that is less blitzed than what my Vitamix can do. And so I just find it so much easier and so much more joyful. So that's something I'm going to give to one of my food friends.
I'm so glad you're starting us off with that, because the thing is, I think about food gifts and kitchen gifts as really thinking about what specific to the person. An immersion blender is not going to be right for every home cook.
Right.
Some home cooks are already going to have one. I actually messaged with your husband to make sure you didn't yet buy one, because I've been waiting on giving you this for a while, because we've had multiple episodes where we've talked about things that I use immersion blenders for, and you've mentioned not having one. And I have to say, even one of our listeners DM'd me and said, you need to get Carrie an immersion blender.
Oh my gosh.
And it was
so funny.
Isn't that funny? So it's already on my mind. So I think like one of the rules I follow that I know you do too is really tailor it to the person. If you can find out in a sneaky way what they might not already have, then this kind of item is such a great gift.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to think about when you're giving a gift is like, think about something someone wouldn't buy for themselves. I knew that I would benefit from an immersion blender, but that's just not something I'm just going to pull the trigger on just on a regular Tuesday, you know? And so every time I pick up that immersion blender, I think about you rather than just picking it up at Target for myself.
That's such a lovely point. And it's a perfect segue to my first item, which is something that someone gave to us. My husband, Jonathan, his best friend, gifted us with an Italian stainless steel bialetti, also sometimes called a mocha pot. Now, these are those old school percolator style espresso makers. They're not fancy. They're a really affordable price point. A lot of them are made out of aluminum, so getting the stainless steel one is a little nicer because it's thicker, it's heavier, and of course it's stainless steel, which is just a nicer thing to use hot items with. And it's beautiful, and it makes a delicious homemade espresso, and we're such coffee and tea drinkers.
I totally have to interrupt you and say I second that this person knows you guys so well, because you have such a beautiful coffee ritual in the morning. And so to add this special espresso into your coffee ritual, I can't wait to come stay with you and have you make me an espresso.
Yeah, I actually made one this morning before we started
my
speaking. And when I took the bialetti out, I thought of Daniel, our friend, who gave it to us, because that is what happens with food gifts. And coupled with that, I have to say, I don't own this. I have not yet gifted it to anyone. But I was thinking, what's a really special kitchen item that I would want to give someone that I think they would just like It would just like make their whole holiday season. And it would also make mine if I received it. It was just thinking in that way. And I've coveted the Smeg brand electric tea kettle for a long time. I use my electric tea kettle every single morning, but it's not a fancy one. It's sort of a basic,
Right,
inexpensive
right.
one. I was at someone's home where they had this tea kettle, and I was like, wow, what a difference. And it's sleek and it's beautiful and it comes in different colors. And it is a higher price point, but if you're looking for that extra special gift, I would put that in this category.
I really love that. And I will say, in that same category for me, a client when I was getting married gifted me a very beautiful hand hewn wooden bowl, like a wooden salad bowl that I've been married for 15 years. So I've had for many years. I've traveled with that bowl before. I set it out on my kitchen counter for fruit. I serve salads in it. And so I have over the years when friends are getting married or have something really big, it's also a big ticket item to give like a handmade bowl. So I'm also including a link to a company that I found in Michigan that makes all these hand bowls and ships them. So if it's something that I can't find here in town, I usually buy it from them. One of the other things I like to give with it is a nice kitchen towel, because I will say that I find that wooden bowls don't really hold plastic wrap very well. I don't like plastic wrap anyway, but it doesn't stick to it. And so if I'm going to carry a salad with me, I like to do it with like a really nice kitchen towel, something that has a pattern on it. So if there's a stain, you don't notice it. And so I think gifting someone a bowl and a really nice kitchen towel is a great gift.
I think that's such a good tip, both of them. I mean, I think a wooden bowl is just about the nicest thing you can own in your kitchen. You could give someone like you. I've had one in my home since I got married. I bought it for myself, but I use it every single day. And I think a lot of people ask about what brands of kitchen towels are worth it. So I love that you're going to link some. And as always, we'll share all the links in our show notes, and we'll also send every single link in our Substack on Wednesday. So one of the things I'm passionate about in life is enamelware, and it's become really trendy in the past few years. It was definitely something I had at my restaurant. Like, I've just always loved enamelware. It's a very common kind of dishware and servingware in the former Soviet Union, which was where my family's from. So my grandmother brought a bunch from Ukraine, which I still use, and then I collected new pieces over the year, and now I have quite a collection. And it's a fairly affordable price point, all things considered, not wooden bowl level. So it's kind of in a mid range. And there's two brands I really like. One is called Crow Canyon. That does a lot of like splatterware enamelware, those beautiful blue or red
Right.
splattery enamelware. And Falcon does the kind of traditional British baking tins that have that rim of blue or black with white enamelware. And I love those because you can put them in the oven. And it's also things that I display baked goods on. I serve with my enamelware at every single dinner party and holiday. And they travel well, they're lightweight, they're dishwasher safe. I just think they're very
And they go in
versatile.
the oven. And they
And
go in
they're
the oven,
oven
right?
safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're kind of beautiful. And to me, they're timeless for a home cook.
I have to say, I don't know if I own any enamelware at all. I
I'm
remember
making
kind
a
of.
note for the future.
Well, I think what's so interesting is we've known each other for almost 20 years now. We always say over 15 years, but it's like almost 20.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I knew that this was also a kind of cookware, bakeware that was used in the former Soviet Union, and that you had some from your grandmother. I just think it's such a great suggestion because we're always looking for solutions on how to carry things and take things to places,
And
the
make it look
fridge,
cute.
and make it look great.
So there's another higher ticket item that both you and I have fallen in love with. We were fortunate to each receive a mill, which is essentially a food scrap recycler. Mill has sponsored our show, but it's so special to have a product and a sponsor that you believe in wholeheartedly. And I have been blown away by my mill.
I completely agree with you, Sonia. What's great about it is it looks like a really nice trash can in my kitchen. It's beautiful. It doesn't smell at all. And as you know, I love to compost, and I've tried so many methods of composting, and I had a system that I thought really worked, but it was really hard for James to keep up with what things went into which container, and everything can go into the mill. So when I'm done making chicken stock, I take all those bones and put them directly in the mill, and then the next morning they're this like fine fine mash. It's
I truly,
unbelievable.
like, every morning, I look inside the mill. I'm not even kidding. I look inside the mill and I'm like, where did everything go? I love that they're on a mission. They're really committed to getting food waste out of landfills. I think if you know someone who is an avid cook and an avid gardener in particular, or someone who's a really serious environmentalist, this is one of those truly special gifts. And if you don't have a garden, the amazing thing about Mill is you can schedule pickups.
It's really incredibly convenient.
As we've mentioned, Mill is one of our sponsors, and we get a discount code. So they're having a special holiday sale right now where you can get $200 off your Mill, but we also have a special code where you can get $75 off at any time. We're linking all of that in our show notes. We'll also link it in our Substack.
And Sonia, the next item that I think makes a really fun difference in your everyday kitchen, but it's a much lower ticket item, is fancy dish soap. Have you ever had fancy dish soap in your kitchen?
No, I don't have fancy dish.
Well, here's where my interest in by the way, I also do not have fancy dish soap in my kitchen currently. So for anyone who knows me and is looking for a Christmas gift, this is something I love. When I worked as a personal chef, I had a few clients who had really nice dish soap. There was a brand called Caldrea, which no longer is in business anymore. And I always found that at the end of the night, when I was washing dishes for like a 15-person dinner party, it just made it so much more pleasant when it had this really nice smell. I'm going to link a couple of different ones that I like and that I've found over the years, some of which are a little bit more expensive and some of which are less. But I just find that when you have to do these things that are very routine, like kitchen scraps or washing dishes, it's nice when you have something that makes it a little bit more pleasant.
Yeah, I think you're speaking to what are objects or items we would never buy for ourselves, but when they're received, they're so useful and appreciated. And that is also a perfect segue to my next pair of items. I love giving little kitchen utensils to people, as you know, because I've given you many random ones in our friendship, like fish spatulas, whatever.
My
And
favorite thing, my fish spatula. Yes, absolutely.
so a long time ago, I was given this really cool nut butter stirrer, like a spoon designed specifically for jams and nut butters. And it was from a museum store. And I actually think it's a really good tip to go check out your local museum
Oh,
shop.
yeah.
Here in Portland, there's the Portland Art Museum shop. They often have interesting kitchen items or foodie items. And one thing that I found from a museum shop, which you can order online, is this thing that's called a Japanese butter knife. Have you ever heard of a Japanese
I
butter
have
knife?
never even heard of this. What is it?
This is one of
Why do I
those.
need it?
This is one of those miracle Japanese inventions that's so simple. It's like, why don't we all have this in our kitchen? It's essentially like a flat kind of spreader, almost like a flat spatula that has tiny little holes on one edge of it. And it's designed so that you can take your knife and go across a stick of ice cold butter, and it basically curls the butter. Imagine when you take a zester and zest a lemon peel. It's doing
Yeah.
that to butter, which means
Wow.
once you've scooped that butter through these tiny little holes and it's perforated it, then it spreads onto your bread or toast or what have you with no effort. So if you're the kind of person who forgot to leave your butter out or never leaves your butter out, this is such an amazingly smart object. And I think it's a super fun, again, like eighth night of Hanukkah gift or stocking stuffer gift.
Well, I think it's to your point, it's also something you wouldn't buy for yourself. That
No.
you would buy, you would see that and you would buy that for someone else that you know loves buttered toast, which by the way, again, another great gift for my family because we eat lots of buttered toast. And Mac really doesn't like it when I forget to put the butter out. And then it's cold and then the toast gets cold. And
That's
so
right. So now
it's
there's a
just one of those nice.
solution. I also really love these early wood flat wooden spatulas. I don't own one yet. I'm actually thinking of buying one for myself. You always see all the New York Times cooking people in their videos using it. But I do think, the problem with a wooden spoon is it's hard to scrape things off the bottom of your pot because it's rounded. And this
Right.
is just a very simple flat, there's no spoon. So it's great for scraping. You don't need to buy this if you already own a wooden spoon. But if you get this as a gift, you're going to definitely put it to use.
Absolutely. I really love that suggestion too. Another important item for every home cook is an apron to wear in your kitchen. And so, one of the ones that I have actually gifted to you, who is like a local chef and artist here in Los Angeles, you actually can't buy her aprons anymore. But when my husband James started cooking in the kitchen, he looked kind of silly wearing my aprons. And so, for Father's Day one year, I bought him a Headley and Bennett apron, which is a beautifully made apron that's now become really popular. You've seen them at restaurant kitchens before, and it's a really well made apron.
Yeah, and they come in lots of fun colors and patterns. Also, my restaurant, we used a very specific apron. I spent some, you know how I get like nerdy and research forever. And I was looking for who is a small artisan apron maker, but who could make an apron that really is comfortable after you wear it for 9 hours. So my preference for aprons is actually the kind that sort of you pull over your head and have two straps on either side of your shoulder instead of one strap around your neck. It crisscrosses around your back and ties in the front. This will make more sense if you check out the link. But anyway, so I love that style of apron, and I found this incredible company in LA. They're called White Bark Workwear Aprons. They've now had a lot more success. You've seen people on Bon Appetit and also the New York Times Cooking Oven. Lots of different chefs use their aprons as well. The materials are incredibly durable and soft and strong. There's linen. I like the denim apron. I've gifted you one.
I
I've
have the
gifted
denim.
other.
Yes,
It's
yes.
just a beautiful apron. So we'll link our favorites as well. But we have to talk about food because equipment is certainly important, but you and I gift a lot of edible items too.
The first item that I think that I've received as a gift is fancy vanilla paste. I received that a couple of years ago from one of my family members. The vanilla paste that I use a lot in my kitchen now is called Hey Lala, and that's the one that I actually order from Thrive Market. It's a higher ticket food item, but if you know someone who really likes to bake, it's a nice gift to give someone.
I think there's almost nothing nicer because it's kind of hard to really invest in those higher quality vanillas for yourself. You almost have to justify it. But if someone gives it to you, it feels like the most generous gift you've ever received. I was gifted the Beyond Good pure ground vanilla, which is so interesting. I never used this kind of
I
product
don't even know
before.
this vanilla.
So, you know how vanilla paste has other ingredients that make it a paste? Usually there's a little sugar added and it's spreadable almost. It's thick. You
Right.
spoon it in. Well, this is totally dry. So, unlike alcohol based vanilla extract or vanilla paste, this is 100% just a vanilla that's dried, but it's not like
Oh, wow.
it's powdery. So, it almost looks like ground coffee. And the flavor is really intense, and a little goes a long way. So, this is something if you like to make homemade custards or puddings or ice cream, or even like a delicious smoothie, or even if you really want to make yourself a special batch of overnight oats or chia pudding, something where you want to see
Wow.
those flecks of vanilla, that's where I'm using this. I have tried it just in traditional baking, and it is a more robust flavor, but I'm kind of saving it for those places where you want the vanilla to really, oh, like whipped cream. Whipped cream with the flecks of vanilla bean is so, so special at the holidays. So I think this is also
Wow.
a really nice gift.
That's a great gift. Well, Sonia, another gift that I experienced when I was a personal chef was one of my clients received these Kishu mandrins, which are basically like a cutie, like a little tangerine, but even smaller. They're incredibly easy to peel. And this family that I worked for received them as a gift from one of their friends who shipped them from a farm. And so when my clients received them, they got like a big box of these Kishu mandrins and they sent some home with me. That's, I think, such a great gift because you can buy into a farmer's harvest and then send your friend a note and say, like, when this comes into harvest, which may be during the holiday season, or it may be in January when it's cold and dark and sad. And then all of a sudden, you just get this box of beautiful citrus delivered to your door.
Obviously, one of the things I miss most about living in California is the avocado, the pomegranates, the citrus, the dates. And there's nothing like receiving a box of that in the mail. The New Yorker did a whole piece about sending people passion fruit from Southern California in the winter. So I think bringing this up is so helpful. Even Harry and David, it's pretty timeless and so appreciated to get a box of fruit.
It's funny when you said, oh, that you miss the passion fruit. I didn't even think about that because it's just kind of around me all the time, but that's something that you miss. And by the way, maybe I'll send you some passion fruit for the holidays this year.
Oh my God, I don't want to get too excited. I mean, again, that's sort of my next item too, which is Freddie Guy hazelnuts, something I give to almost everyone I know around the holidays. They're local Oregon hazelnuts. They're a family run business. I think they have the best tasting hazelnuts. Oregon is known for its hazelnuts, but around the holidays, they also have these really sweet gift boxes. They have chocolate covered hazelnuts. They have the simple roasted ones. Unless someone's allergic to nuts, this is just one of those gifts that is always really appreciated as well.
I can vouch for the Freddie Guy hazelnuts. Anytime I come come to visit you, I bring home several bags. So, Sonia, another item that I think ships really well and is fun for a real home cook to receive are dried beans, like fancy dried beans, or a really interesting grain that you might not regularly cook with. There was a farmer that I used to buy a lot of things from at the farmer's market. His name was Larry Kandarian, and he grew a lot of heirloom grains and
Oh,
beans.
yeah.
He recently retired and sold
Really?
his farm. Yes, he did. There's a couple of places that I still like to buy those things from that you can ship from. One is called Blue House Farm, and it's in California, and they have a lot of different great dried beans and grains. Another place I like to buy specialty like blue corn from New Mexico is a farm called Los Poblanos. They're also a lavender farm, so they have great body care items as well. And then there's also Rancho Gordo, which we love their beans. I think you've even gifted me a bean
It was from another small heirloom bean farmer. And I love giving people beans. As you know, I've also sent people beans from the CSA I'm a part of.
Yes.
But I think Rancho Gordo beans are incredible and they have so many fun gift boxes. That was definitely on my list too. And it also makes me think of another item that I was gifted this year that I went crazy for, which was a spice box set and also a mung bean and grain mix. So there's this company called Prana Kitchens. It's a small woman-owned Ayurvedic company, and they ship
Wow.
different Indian spice blends as well as little meal kits. So they have these packets where it gives you instructions. You combine it with water and you add the beans and you add the spices and then you have dinner. And I've been really loving them. They're delicious and the spices are incredible. It helps me kind of get into Indian cooking because it comes with instructions for recipes, for ideas, for meals. And it's almost like easing me into things that I haven't made before.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we loved about Spicy Tude, which was one of our first sponsors. Her meal kits, too. What I really loved about her spice kit was there were two little bags. In bag one, you do this, and with bag two, you do that. I cooked this really delicious, well seasoned dinner, but I didn't have to think about mixing the spices or measuring any of them. It was already done for me. And I think you're right. I think for someone who is not an Indian cook, it made it possible for me to have this incredibly well seasoned meal in my home.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way about the spices too. And I also think this is another example of something you might not always buy for yourself, but if someone gives it to you, you're going to really appreciate it. So, and I love that they're both these small women run businesses, both Prana Kitchens and Spicy Too. There's another few gift items that I think are neither food nor equipment, but make really wonderful gifts around the holidays. One of them is different kinds of subscriptions.
Yeah. And, Sonia, in that category, one subscription that is essential in my kitchen is Thrive Market. And
Which
they do
is
not
totally,
sponsor.
I would say they don't sponsor
They do
us.
not sponsor us at all. I've been a Thrive Market customer for at least 10 years. I'm not an early adopter to many things, but I was an early adopter to Thrive Market because you can buy like your pantry staples at a lower price. It's a little bit like Costco, but it gets delivered to your house.
Wow.
I
You're
order,
kind
I
of
keep a
selling me on it. And I honestly, again, we have nothing to do with Thrive Market and I've never used them, but every time you talk about it, I get kind of curious.
Well, I have gifted Thrive Market memberships. Like I gifted a Thrive
Oh,
Market membership to my sister. And when I did that, I picked out a few of my favorite items and I just shipped them to her. I think if you order, I think $50 worth of grocery items, it ships for free. And over the last few years, they've reduced their carbon footprint. They're always looking for ways to make it better for the planet and better for their customers. So I just think it's a great way to make it easier for you to get your pantry staples.
I had no idea you could gift a membership to Thrive Market. I think that's really cool. I also think a really nice gift is the New York Times cooking app subscription, especially if you
Totally.
know if someone does not have it. You and I use the cooking app a lot.
All
We
the time.
are no way affiliated with them, but I do think
Yeah.
it's like to be able to look things up by ingredient and know whether recipes work or not and if people love them or not. It's just so well designed and the recipes are of such high quality.
So, Sonia, the next gift that I'm thinking about is something that's local. I have a lot of family and friends that live here in Los Angeles. And so, thinking about giving them a gift certificate to a local restaurant or a local ice cream shop. One of the restaurants that I really love is All Time. It's, family owned and women run, and they buy their produce from the farmer's market. That's a gift certificate that I want to give to a friend who lives here in town. I'm always thinking about how to support my local restaurants. And so, wherever you are, think about the places that you like to go and how you could give a gift certificate to a place that you enjoy.
I think that's a great tip. Also, as a sort of wild card item, I have been for the past almost 10 years every year buying myself a farmer's market illustrated calendar. So it's like every month has,
Really?
yeah, and every month it tells me exactly what's in season. And the illustrations are so beautiful. It's from this woman named Allie Miller. Her business is Allie Miller Illustrations. And she makes these small batch, beautiful calendars. But she also has her illustrations on tea towels, on bags, on prints. So you could buy someone a beautiful print of a kabocha squash or something of that nature. Her illustrations are truly gorgeous. I've interacted with Allie over email. We've never met in person and we've interacted on social media. There's something about buying from someone you know that adds like another level of specialness when you're gift giving.
I love that. I think that's such a unique gift. And it's just like something that you've come upon over the years and just gone back to. And to share that with someone that you love is really lovely.
Yeah, it's just so nice. And I think both of us are also this time thinking about giving. Certainly, we're talking about gift giving, but I think we both regularly try to support the organizations and institutions that we really believe in and that are doing critical work right now. We know how many families are struggling with food, not just locally, not just in this country, but globally. So I definitely think that another option in the gift giving season is to sometimes make donations on behalf of someone else or just in your own name while you're being generous. It always feels good to give to something you believe in.
One of the places that we have given to in the past is a place called the Midnight Mission in Los Angeles, which really supports a community of people who are really trying to get through the day. Helping a space in your local community is a great way to start. I think finding a local food bank, that's something that my mom does in her hometown, is she helps organize and donate to the local food bank. One of the things that she's also mentioned, besides just food items, is giving cash, because the people who work at a food bank know what people are coming in and asking for. And so it really helps to be able to give them what they need or what they're missing.
That's such an important point. I know some food banks will actually send out lists of what they're in need of because sometimes they have surplus of other things. It's such a good reminder to check in directly with the food bank and find out, do they need financial support or do they need items, and what items do they need? Right now, more than ever, people are really relying on this as a resource.
Yes.
Another place that you and I have both given to and talked about before is World Central Kitchen. They're really mobilizing all over the world. I continue to be so inspired and so moved by what they're able to accomplish. Part of it is that they have figured out systems for feeding people just about anywhere on the planet. They know how to connect with local farmers and purveyors and chefs and volunteers to get food quickly to the people who need it most in war, in disaster, or just in need. That's just one of my number one places. And another place that I personally am often giving to locally here in Oregon is an organization called Capaces. We've had Javier Lara on our show before. I just think they're doing some of the most important work in Oregon around food, around education, around saving seeds and growing food items that could be lost otherwise. I'm also very inspired by what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a way to think about at this time of year when we're giving gifts. Where can you make it local and where can you support the systems that matter to you and that affect your own community?
Yeah, that's really well said. Well, Carrie, I loved hearing all of your ideas. It's going to make it so much easier to go shopping now.
I agree. And I just think it's so fun to think about all the great gifts that we can give and also maybe receive.
And have received. I love being reminded of these. Well, until next time.
Until next time, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for being our food friend.
If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with friends. We love hearing from you, so follow us on Instagram or drop us a line at foodfriendspodcast.com.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you and your food friends. Happy cooking and eating.